Hi everyone, my name's Patrick, and I'm the creator of the channel Tierzoo. I've never really made one of these talk directly to the audience type videos before, so forgive me if it's a bit rough around the edges. But there's something I wanted to talk to you guys about. They say the average YouTube career lasts between 5 and 7 years. And as of July, I'm officially on year 8. This isn't just folk wisdom, you can see this for yourself by punching your favorite creator into Google Trends and seeing what the pattern looks like. You'll almost always see some variation of this. So I started this channel when I was 22, and it has truly been a dream job for me. I've loved pretty much every minute of it, and it's been more fulfilling and rewarding than I ever thought possible. I've met my heroes, won awards, and spoken at creator events next to some true legends. However, when it comes to YouTube, the game has changed a bit, especially with respect to the financial angle of it all. So, of course, it would be ridiculous for me to expect nothing to change over the course of almost a decade. Fads come and go, new creators rise up, and video formats get stale. Even my own video format, the tier list, has kind of escaped its initial meaning a bit because of how ubiquitous it's become on YouTube. When I first started making YouTube videos, tier lists were pretty much only ever seen in a video game context, usually to discuss the competitive metagame of a popular video game like Super Smash Bros. Or Overwatch. But now, in part due to the popularity of my videos, and in part due to the prevalence of Twitch streamers using tiermaker.com as a conduit for their hot takes, it's really not self-evident just from the title and thumbnail that my videos are talking about things through the lens of a competitive video game anymore. But I digress. A format getting stale is something I can adapt to. What's been harder to adapt to is changes in how people watch YouTube. Let me explain. So, when I began my career on YouTube, people were watching on one of two devices. They were either watching from their computer or from their phone, with a tiny percentage of people viewing from game consoles, smart TVs, and tablets. Now, TV has actually overtaken desktop viewership, while smartphone usage has remained about the same. Okay, but why does any of that matter? Who cares where people are watching? Well, the types of videos that audiences like changes based on the device that they're watching from. People watching on TV tend to prefer much longer videos. You know, something to throw on in the background while they're playing Balatro on their phone. And people watching on their phones tend to prefer videos of another sort. So I should probably talk about the other biggest shift in viewership I've seen. Shorts. It was funny, when YouTube Shorts first launched, there was no back-end tick box that you could check to ensure that your video would be marked as a short. Instead, you just had to upload a video that was less than 60 seconds long and include hashtag shorts in the video title, and only then would your video maybe get included in the YouTube Shorts player. I mean, in 2021 and 22, my videos pretty much always cracked 2 million views easily, and almost always wound up on YouTube trending as well. So why would I change what I was doing? I'm not sure if any of you remember when YouTube had stories, but I kind of assumed that YouTube Shorts were going to end up in the same category of features that YouTube tried to lift from other successful platforms and then threw in the garbage once they realized the fad had passed. And in this case, I was wrong. YouTube Shorts have in fact eclipsed long-form viewership, and it's not showing any signs of slowing down. So I kind of feel like I missed the boat. Not completely. I've had a few shorts crush it views-wise once I finally started doing them this year. But broadly, I do feel like I kind of got frog-boiled because of how secure I felt with my numbers during COVID. When everyone's stuck at home with nothing to do, I could afford to be a bit more conservative with my upload schedule and still do fine. But now that the world is back to its usual hustle and bustle, I do feel like I had a false sense of security in ignoring shorts. Data shows that channels which upload both long form and short form do the best in the long run, and I've been trying to emulate that. The problem is, that's a lot of work, and the payout from shorts is just laughably bad. I want to keep everything on my channel as high quality, high production value as I can, so my shorts are never just going to be recut syndicated old video clips. So far, they've all been entirely new dedicated videos, complete with a fresh voiceover and new VFX and animations, some of which take hours or even days to render. So yeah, for me, it's a bit tough to try to make shorts work from a financial sense. But it's also really tough for me to try to make the feature-length documentary style made-for-TV things work as well. The length of YouTube video that I make used to be the sweet spot, but now it's become the sort of awkward in-between that doesn't really fit either of the directions that audiences are drifting towards. And on the topic of money, another subject I want to touch on is sponsorships. Sponsorships are the lifeblood of modern YouTube, especially for medium-length video creators like myself. I know you guys are fed up with hearing about VPNs and mobile games, but if you like watching YouTube video essays and niche deep dive videos, you ought to say thank you to these companies for basically putting the creator economy on their back. For most creators, myself included, these ad payouts are the difference between just making YouTube videos after work or being able to take the jump to full time. One thing you might not know is that there are a few things that can dramatically increase or decrease a YouTuber's sponsor rates. Things like their content niche, their audience demographics, or most relevant to the point that I'm making, whether or not they're on camera. It makes sense when you think about it. It's a lot harder for a faceless, disembodied voice to show themselves cooking HelloFresh or show themselves shaving with, Henson razors or Dollar Shave Club or whatever. Now, this isn't to say that faceless channels can't make good money on YouTube. They absolutely can. What I'm getting at is that this is just one more of many factors that have been stacked against me. Again, during COVID, things were so incredibly good that I kind of took it for granted that investing in things like production value would always have good returns, and that each year was going to be better than the last. And so when those big venture capital companies came around at the end of the pandemic and started throwing money around, buying up channels left and right, I turned them all down. Why bet against myself, right? Well, at this point, I almost wish that I had. Their offers were pretty much always just some multiple of revenue that you'd made in the most recent year or so. So I could have taken a pretty solid payout and just sailed off into the sunset. But I didn't. I'm still here, and I still want to make the absolute best videos I can for you guys. I still believe that the best days for this channel are ahead. But to get there, let me level with you guys what it takes to make a TiersU YouTube video. For every video, there are a few overhead costs I need to pay, along with, my mortgage and groceries and that sort of thing. The first is footage. I don't know if you've ever looked at the prices of stock footage websites, but video clips tend to cost between $50 and $500 per clip, depending on the quality, length, and rarity. I mostly rely on 3 sites: Getty Images, Pond5, and Shutterstock. Thankfully, because of my agency, I get a pretty superb discount on Getty Images videos, but I still pay sticker price for all the rest of it. These clips are sometimes amazing, super hype, interesting videos, but a lot of the time they kind of just function as moderately interesting B-roll. For really hype videos, the really punchy action-filled combat clips that my channel is known for, usually I have to seek out exclusive footage from professional videographers. For example, this clip of a crab literally getting its arm punched clean off by a mantis shrimp is from a videographer named Richard Fitzpatrick at James Cook University in Australia. His stuff is the best in the business as far as marine biology goes, and it's not cheap. In fact, clips from Viral Hog are on average about $250 each. They're worth it for how interesting they are, but still, hopefully now you can see that when you're spending several $100s every few seconds of video footage, things can really add up. The next expense is 3D models. You may have noticed that in a lot of my recent videos, I use a lot of 3D images. I make these myself. During COVID, I taught myself the basics of 3D scene building, posing, and rendering. Now, I'm still nowhere good enough at modeling to be able to actually create something worthy of being used in my videos. But I do at least know enough to be able to make some good-looking images and videos using assets I purchased from true professionals. I also use these to make thumbnails. A lot of people have accused me of using quote-unquote AI slop to make these thumbnails, but no, these are real 3D renders, and they take me hours to construct. The models I buy for these types of shots are even more expensive than stock footage, although thankfully, they're reusable and customizable, and so they're cheaper in the long run. By the way, it's not just the animals in these scenes that I pay top dollar for. I use the best assets I can find for literally everything, from the dirt textures to the foliage to the volumetric lighting and skybox. These images are a labor of love. Finally, my last big cost is editing. For the last year and a half or so, I'd been working with an editor to produce my videos. And when I switched, I got a bunch of comments saying like, wow, you really stepped up your game. Like, nice editing. This is really good. This is a huge improvement, which did sting a little bit, but it confirmed to me that it was the right call. And I paid him well too. I have no interest in hiring just cheap, disposable work. I want to pay people fairly and pay them well for excellence. Unfortunately, in June, I had to make the tough decision to downsize and basically go back to flying solo. I have no employees. It's just me again. I've maxed out at like 1.5 or like 2. Like me, 1 employee, contractors, like here and there. I've never really scaled up that much, but yeah, I had to pretty quickly do a strategic retreat, as they would call it in the corporate world. But yeah, that was tough. So it's back to just being me. And it was tough because they did a fantastic job. They really elevated the videos in ways that I didn't really even think to put more effort into. All this to say, I'm making this video for a reason. I've discussed my main 2 revenue streams and why they're not really in the best position, but there is a 3rd potential revenue stream, crowdfunding, namely in the form of Patreon. I kind of stopped promoting it in 2019, I would say, because my channel was on the upshot and I was able to cover all my expenses and more with just Google Ads and sponsors. So it didn't really feel like I needed to ask my audience to really put forward anything, and I was happy to just provide what I could myself. But where things are now, I'll be honest, I could use some help. I'm not like on the verge of bankruptcy or anything. Things are fine. I'm not at any like crazy massive debt or anything like that. I mean, now that I've downsized back to 0, my expenses are also fairly low, other than just my personal living expenses and mortgage and that sort of thing. But I do have huge ambitions for TierZoo. Oddly enough, my channel kind of bucks the trend as far as the Google Trends thing that I mentioned earlier, where I didn't have that sort of peak and then decline that I'm still holding on to. If Google Trends is to be believed, there still is very much interest in my videos, and I want to continue to stoke those embers and grow that flame. I want to hire editors again, I want to hire animators, I want to hire artists, and I want to really bling out this YouTube channel and make it the absolute best version of itself that it could be. Hey, I'm reshooting this bit because after watching it back, I don't think I quite properly explained what my ambitions are for what I would do if I had a bigger budget. So there are a few things. So one of the main frustrations that I've had with this channel over the last 1.5 years or so is that there are a ton of subjects and projects that I would love to take on, but can't using the current resources that are available to me. For example, I would love to talk about the evolution and migration of the dingo. I'd love to make a video about armadillos, a video about stingrays, make a tier list of viruses and bacteria, and also talk about more extinct species. A deep dive on raptors, an analysis of the infamous cheetah gator, maybe something about Dunkleosteus, you name it. But with all of these, I'm limited by what footage already exists. There's surprisingly little footage of dingoes hunting. Shockingly, there's literally 0 videos of stingrays stinging anything. And for all of those other things that I mentioned, I would pretty much have to create new custom animations in order to showcase these creatures' attributes and abilities. Or, hey, potentially with a big enough budget, I could do that myself. I would need to buy new camera equipment and fund a lot of traveling, but it's possible. I would also love to do more of those animated versus battle videos. I actually had a 2nd episode completely storyboarded, but I had to cancel it for budget reasons. The first one just massively underperformed. So I would really love to do more in that series. And lastly, my grand endgame ambition. So my channel is all about presenting life like a video game. Well, I would love to eventually make that game. Game development is something I've always been super interested in, and more recently, I've started to take it more seriously as a potential career move. I don't know anything about coding, but I have studied game design pretty extensively at this point, and even competed in the GMTK Game Jam this year. So, if my budget truly was limitless, what I would probably do is self-fund an indie studio, become a game designer, and start hiring as many game devs as I could find. If you've been following the video game industry at all within the last year or so, you've probably heard about all the layoffs that have been going on in these big studios. So I would love to give those talented workers cool new projects to work on. but I can't do that without your help. So please, if you have any love for this channel, if my videos got you through a tough time, or brought you joy during quarantine, or just got you interested in a topic that you'd written off as boring, my Patreon is the place that you can really make a difference there in helping me get through this squeeze. If you pledge to my channel at $10 a month or higher, you'll get early access to all of my videos ad-free before they go live on YouTube. And if you go one tier higher than that, you'll also get your name in the credits. That's really all it would take. Literally less than 1% of my viewership pledging a few bucks a month would easily get me ramped back up to full steam ahead. But hey, if this isn't the way, if pledging to my Patreon isn't in the cards right now, I totally understand. The economy is pretty chaotic this year, so trust me, I will find a way. I promise I will find a way to continue to bring you guys the videos that you love, because I love making them, and I have no intention of stopping. I have potentially some ideas for this channel, like the side channel, not TierZoo, the main thing, but the one that you're watching right now could just be a place where I do a bunch of other wacky side things that are easier to execute on and get going, because I think that could be a way to subsidize the costs of TierZoo and also be a lot of fun. So that might be an answer as well, but yeah. Thank you for listening. Hopefully this wasn't too rough. I've never really done these sorts of talk to the camera things before, but yeah, hopefully it was okay. If you just like hearing me talk about random stuff, maybe I'll do that more on this channel. Maybe that's a way that I can help boost my revenue so that I can subsidize TierZoo. So maybe I'll do more of that, honestly. Maybe I'll just make random commentary videos like some other YouTubers that I like to watch. It could be a way, I don't know, but Patreon is certainly what I'm hoping to rely on. Anyway, I super appreciate you taking the time to hear me out on this. It really means a lot. But for now, I will get back to work. Thank you.